Happy National Signing Day, Wildcat Nation. Mackenzie Hamilton here with Coach Brennan. And for this second signing period, Arizona football is welcoming 7 new Wildcats today. And before we jump into those guys individually, Coach, I want to start with what's been a top priority for you since arriving to Arizona with recruiting, and that's been retaining the guys who have been here. What have those conversations looked like with them for the past several weeks?
Those kids have been really amazing. I think from the start of it, coming in here, I was coming at it from a position of real understanding and empathy, because I had just gone through the same thing with our football team at San Jose State. So, when I was coming out here to talk to the team, that morning I just had a really tough conversation with a bunch of players and coaches that I love and I've been around, for the last 7 years, and that have done a lot of really cool things there. And so I want to be respectful of the job Coach Fish and the staff did here before I got here, and the effort and the time and all the things that the current roster had put into that. And so I just started with the idea of let's get to know each other. Trust is earned over time, and the players were good with that. They wanted to talk and get to know me, and so I just spent the next 3 or 4 days sitting down one-on-one, sitting down with groups of guys. They were firing questions at me. They wanted to know, what color cleats are we going to wear? Or what does practice look like? Or what do we do the night before a game? So we were just kind of getting to know each other. It was really fun. And I feel like that helped us get off to a good start, just trying to get to know each other. It was happening so fast. It was it's such a new thing with the transfer portal and the onset of that and NIL, and how that all plays out with when you have a staff change. And that's new. The last time I became a head coach was 2016. There was no transfer portal. And so, the players that were there were going to be your players there in the fall, and so in the spring. And so, I thought it was really cool the way this team responded. I think Coach Fish and them did a great job of recruiting good kids who, want to work hard and want to be together. And I think it was a real testament to the players that they were like, no, let's keep this brotherhood tight. Let's stay together, and let's keep pushing forward with this new staff.
Mm-hmm. And while that's been a big investment for you guys, forming relationships with the guys who are here, that's not to say you guys and you and your staff haven't been busy on the road recruiting as well, which you have been. What qualities have you looked for to add to this team this round?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because, the situation was fluid, right? When we first got here, I think we had 16 mid-year enrollees that we were trying to get to know. And for them, I think it was the hardest, because they had just gotten here, and then 5 days later, there's a coaching change. And so those guys were trying to figure out how they fit, and they weren't here long enough to have the deep connection that the rest of the team had with each other. They were brand new. They were at the homecoming dance 3 months ago at their high school, and then all of a sudden they're on a major college football campus and going to real university coursework, and all of a sudden they're drinking out of a fire hose. A lot was happening really fast, and then they have a coaching change. So for them, I think helping them just settle in and put one foot in front of the other and focus on school, focus on getting back with the team and training was a real emphasis for us. And then we went out a little bit recruiting, but our focus, like we said at the beginning of our conversation, was really on being here and being around the team, which is different because, like I mentioned, in 2016, when I got hired, we hit the road right away. We just had to go because we had, I think, 2 weeks or 3 weeks to put together a recruiting class. This situation is there was already a recruiting class that had been signed, and the most important recruits that we were going to talk to were the ones that were already playing football for the University of Arizona. So it was just a much different time that way. But we've been hanging on, man. We've been ripping and running, but it's been fun.
Yeah, and now let's dive into the 7 guys that are coming to Arizona football. Let's start with Cyrus Durham and Jono Price, the 2 JUCO transfers from the College of San Mateo. What makes them stand out on the field?
Well, both those kids are just super active football players. We had a lot of familiarity with that program. They do a fantastic job at CSM, and we'd had good players at San Jose from there, and good players at other places we've coached from that junior college. And so these are 2 guys that we had targeted, long before we got hired here. And then when we, as we were having conversations and we were trying to figure out with our current roster, who was staying, who was going, and trying to make sure that we could fill some needs of departures that either departed through the portal or through graduation, and then trying to get a little bit more mature player that has played, a little bit higher level football and been coached at a high level, and possibly them having an impact on us playing. But I think defensive end and corner, always critical positions on any football team. And when we added two really good players who are also really good dudes. I mean, they're going to fit in great with this team. They're going to love it.
And then you and your staff, a large part of the staff at least, have established relationships with the three guys coming from San Jose: Trey Smith, Quali Conley, and Ryan Stewart. What is it about those three guys that made you say, yes, I want you here in Tucson with us?
Well, those guys have just been great parts of the program there, and they all had a real strong connection with us. And I think that's always a hard part of this thing, because in the transition, they're losing a position coach, they're losing coordinators or a head coach that they had history with, and that there was a real bond there. And so the decision for them to, when they hit the portal, we knew exactly what they were. And I think that's the difference, is that because we had coached them, we had been on the field, we'd been in the meeting room, we'd been in the weight room, on the game field with those players, we knew exactly what we were getting. And we thought that they could add value to what we're doing here. And so we're really excited about them joining us.
And then rounding off this group today, we have Kevon Darton from Syracuse and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who goes by Bill, from New Mexico. And both of these guys are going to be veterans coming in. They have 5 years of college football experience under their belt. How do you see them being leaders both on the field and in the locker room?
Well, I think leadership is earned over time. I think we're blessed with incredible leadership that's already on the roster here at Arizona. You see that shows up every day in the workouts. That shows up how they carry themselves on campus. But the fact that both those players have played a lot of football, they've been in big games, they've been in big moments, they've played at a high level, I think that adds value to you, right? You're getting a veteran player. It's like being in the NFL and hiring a guy that's been playing for 10 years. They know what the expectations are. They know what the expectations are in the weight room or in the classroom or with the coaching staff or off the field. And so bringing that kind of seasoned veteran that also adds another piece of talent to the collective effort here is exciting. And in some ways, that's some of the benefit of the transfer portal, is that you can add a good piece to your football team on in any phase, offense, defense, special teams, that can really have immediate impact. And that's what we're looking for from those guys.
Well, we are so pumped for these 7 new additions to Arizona football that are coming to us today, and we can't wait for them to get here. Thank you so much for your time today, Coach.
And we're not done. We got a lot of work to do over the next 4 or 5 months of bringing in new people, and so the recruiting efforts will continue, and we will be fast and furious attacking the best players we can find for this program.
Sounds good. Stay tuned, Wildcat Nation.